Hello, Crapcast listeners. I wanted to give a quick, I guess maybe a disclaimer, but almost maybe advice for this episode of the Crapcast. So on this episode of the Crapcast, we've got Dr. Kahn. Most of you may not recognize the name, but you surely will most likely recognize the topic, which is the Potassium Paradox, which is a publication that he and Dr. Mulvaney and a few others published several years back about the use, the need, the availability of potassium in our soils. So the advice, the disclaimer is, Dr. Kahn was very comfortable. He was very gracious to come on and talk about his findings, talk about his data, and we found it best to deliver that information in sort of a presentation style. So kind of a meeting style instead of our traditional interview style of podcasts that we do. So, from this perspective, our advice is, if you can listen to it, as you normally would, tractor, truck, cab, however, when you're traveling, that's great. You may get more out of this one by visiting our BW Fusion YouTube page and physically sitting down and watching this one, where you can see his data slides and follow along with the information that he presents. It's a good one. It's a lot of information. The Potassium Paradox is probably, I think I even said it in this episode, it's kind of a foundational piece of data for, maybe for our ag space. Whether you agree, disagree, that's not the point of this podcast. It's simply for them, for Dr. Kahn to present that data that led to that work. That is the Potassium Paradox. So give it a watch, give it a listen, and enjoy. And we'll talk more about this later. Take care.
This would explain the paradox, the essence of paradox. If it can explain. They are making daily, but they say they are old stuff, selling. I think it will explain it. That's why I took the slide second, the same. That's the paradox, actually. Now, the potassium is completely different as compared to nitrogen. If we typically take Illinois soil, so the exchangeable, which is on the periphery, they be extract with ammonium acetate. That is from 100 to 400 pounds per acre and 6 inches, flow layer. The second one adjacent to this is estimated for soil testing. The adjacent layer is clay fixed K. The nomenclature is not good, but it's not available as this is for instant available, but that is also available, and that is from 200 to 1,500 pounds per 6 inches. And it's exactly in equilibrium with the mineral K. 2,000 pounds to 45,000 pounds, that's a typical Illinois soils. If you go to the south, it would be less, 200 and 100. But if you to the north, it's more deeper soils, and they are mostly drummer and mollisols. Both are mollisol, but that are alphisol, a lot of sisney and that. So that have the distribution of clay. But one thing is very important, which should be clear. I never learned in my study that this cycle is simple, and potassium salt is soluble, water soluble, and they can change pretty quick to one another. Very quick, because that is also potassium is positive charge and the clay is negative charge. And there are also negatively charged sites. So that don't take like microbes or pH or all other stuff. Just water. If water is there, they are available, I would say. But first we'll go this, and this would be immediately by this one. And then the mineral. This is simple cycle. Soil testing, but the soil estimate exchangeable, and they think that is available. This is not available. Exchangeable and available are different. Available is total, which coming, and it can resupply the exchangeable fraction. And because this is constantly is is in the level is not changing. So this is a simple soil, water is if they're exchangeable, the potassium will be available to the plant. Now I took these 6 plots are established in the southern plot of southern in the south farm, and I was taking sample from zero K application, then 50, then 100, 150, 250. These are 6 plots in this studies, but they were doing this since 70. So this plot I'm showing it, the exchangeable and the non-exchangeable. Since 70, they were not fertilized. When I came as a graduate student, I started working on this, and I was bi-weekly sampling I was doing from these 6 plots, from 0 to 250 pounds per acre, bi-weekly, after 2 weeks, and I will take all the sample moist and dry, and I will check it for the exchangeable cake from this plant. And I start my study in 86. And I'm showing just one plot here. I remove first the 0 plot, which has never been fertilized for 16 years. And I remove the exchangeable fraction first. And I did in 86, 87, 88, and 89 from this study. Then I took the sample, recovered. I will not throw in the sample. I will test another. This is exchangeable with ammonium acetate, and this is with a light ammonium, just nitric acid. So I remove then this, the first fraction of non-exchangeable. I would throw away, I would remove the exchangeable, non-exchangeable fraction and put non-exchangeable intact, and then put a fresh batch of HNO3. So these are non-exchangeable recover in 6 successive extractions. And I added. So if you can see it every time, and this was quick, I was doing this non-exchangeable, remove first non-exchangeable, and I was doing this in non-exchangeable every 10 to 15 minutes because I was centrifuging it. And I would take the supernatant upper solution, drain it, and then put the sample is there. It's not. So this is a 1 gram sample, and I extracted 6 samples. And I went up to 12, but I could not do it because it's too much data. So you can see it that up to after 4 section, it's almost close to 300. And I remove from 1 gram from 2,650, 2,000 plus and minus. These are removed as a non-exchangeable and exchangeable from the 1 gram soil. So the reason I'm showing this, and this is from the check plot, is depleted since 90. So I'm showing you the power of these from 6 inches and how much potassium is there. This I'm showing that the flow layer, exchangeable, non-exchangeable, and mineral, they contain, this is the northern part of the state. It's contained 250 exchangeable, the non-exchangeable is 1,000, which I already showed, and the mineral is 30,000. This is just the flow layer. And if you go profile, they would be divided by the depth up to 6 feet. This one. So this is 3,000, 12,000, and 360,000 pounds per acre profile basis. So I'm showing you the K fertility on the flow layer basis. That how much it's an ocean of potassium, too much potassium we are dealing with. And this crop, remember, I also will show you the data. They are very 90% are non-responsive to K. No matter what you do, but this is non-responsive always. And the reason is I show you the roots is taking the potassium from the flow layer. You see here? From 6 feet, 5 feet, and we measure 6 inches. So the basic idea of cell testing is wrong, because this is constantly fertilized naturally, not by K fertilization, but the plant itself. It's a self-driven. Nature provides them the power. The roots, they are fertilized, their uptake. Now, this is crop residue recycle too. We build too much crops in the soil all over the grain production area, the whole state, North America. So, and one a little bit rainfall, since it's water soluble, so that it's recycled. After rain, the test level increases, and because all the residue bath with the soak with the soil with the water, and they give it to the soil, surface soil, and then a lot of stuff is also low layer is also enriched the subsoil, because they are also available, and they take plant also take it, plant subsoil take, and also soil subsoil, and then more enough. This is more enough than again for the grain production. Grain removed just 64 pounds. 46. And residue 5 times more. The residue can take more potassium as compared to the grain. And they went back to the surface. That's the reason that you will really see potassium response. And I always see now that they abandon a lot of university. They don't do potassium response. Okay, sometime you will see that the soil fertility, when you're studying crops, the crops is growing a little bit yellow signs. But this is due to the older leaves. They get like photosynthesis and remobilization, but this mostly due to the dry season. Since this is water soluble, when the dry season hit, within a week or 2 weeks, you will see a firing. And you think that this is potassium deficiency. No, this is not potassium deficiency. It's good recovery with the 1 or 2 rain. I'm just showing the farmer and all the people that this, don't be worried about this firing. This is not potassium. This is the water lake of waters. Now, this is another slide I'm showing you. All those plots which I explained to you, these are different plots, and they have treated with different amount of fertilizer in the past. I'm drying these and I'm removing moisture. I took them in tray, open tray, and fan was blowing through, and I was, after each hour, I was determined for potassium in these exchangeable potassium. I'm not touching the non-exchangeable, just exchangeable. If you see the 25% moisture, the test level is constant. This is in the lab. But determining a different moisture level, the potassium content, the non-exchangeable in the soil. So when it reaches 5% moisture, suddenly the potassium changes in content. And the reason is that when I'm drying it, it is water soluble. So they are come out from the clay, because our clays are layers like a sandwich. So they come to the corner on the edges of the soil, and they are there. So after 5, they are become different fertility level, because they are 600, and this is used constantly for 16 years, 250, and this is 0. So the most change of exchangeable potassium test come when you totally remove the water. It's become, instead of 200 and 150, it's become 400, the value. And this one is somewhat constant, not really. And they were looking for this type of the lake. They were looking for this type of level that you build up. That was the philosophy content: build up, potassium build up, and then maintenance. So when you follow this one, you give a different value to the farmers, soil tester. And this one is high fertility. So that when you become high fertility, it has tremendous application for soil properties. Because potassium is like a nailing. They become swelling toward non-swelling. This is not swelling clay now. And this is swelling. So potassium reduce the CHC of the soil. Potassium reduce the water holding capacity. If you put more, it's collapse the clay. The swelling become non-swelling. This is non-swelling. Smectite into elite. And now no more they root penetrate. No more it contain a water holding capacity is reduced. But for rape testing, now you have a good number. You remove the variability in this test. So any person who try to build up the clay, the soil fertility, too much potassium, he would always very much exposed to drought, and penetration of the roots would be difficult, and swelling would be changed into non-swelling. So its fertility drastically reduced. And this is not just happening in Illinois. I took some samples and the data from the sample. Look at here, this is Iowa soils. I different series and Ohio soils. So 90 moist, which I show you, and it's become 264. So plus 174 for this increase, tremendous jump. And they are supplied to the farmers, that your number. The fertilizer dealer. So everything increased by this figure. 174, 76, 136, and 4. This guy is a little bit, going too much potassium. So he's not showing you the release of potassium. So this is a loser, Fayette County. Whoever the farmer is, he really under the influence of extension agent. And the same is the case with the Ohio soils. So this is low, this is high, and the difference is this. So I'm saying that always dry soil is higher than wet soil. This is a fabricated numbers. Testing is a fabricated number that exchangeable doesn't show available. So soil test level value changes the ability. I'm doing you drummer soil under corn and soybean. Here, and what I did here, that I did this from these 5 plots. This is the initial number of exchangeable K. And I took it in January and February in 90 from the field. I tested it for exchangeable. This is the exchangeable number. Then I took the sample and put it in the bags, brought it to the labs, and they were dry and they were prepared for. They were all dry, and in 90, and I took again in 90 after 2 months, after 1 month, 1.5 months, and look to the changes that under field laboratory conditions. When I took the sample, they were initially this, but after storage 1 month in March, the change was this. The level was exchangeable and they went back to the non-exchangeable. Just by in the lab, they are not stable. The field is tremendously bad, but even under in a bag and dry it, even then they are changing.
It's
Unstable, completely unstable, due to the water solubility and a huge ocean of potassium. But they are not coming from the plant. This is in the clay. Because the equilibrium is pretty quick. They go and forth. As I told you in the first slide. This is field. I'm taking a 0 plot And I started, they were 86 and up to 90, which I finished my PhD. So I was taking biweekly samples. So I just plotted it, all the data. So no K applied in 70, that there is that variability. But itself, this is, I took out the zero plot of that. I would air dry 40 degrees C, field mass. And you can see that this is the dry one, the wet one. The moist sample is low, but this is cyclic trend. Every cycle. Is it? So it also, if you take a different date, this would be a different number. But generally, a cycle tells me that when it becomes the harvesting is finished and the residue is there, and then you go toward the month of January, it increases. And then in May, June, it decreases. Then it increases. Then it decreases. So this is a cycle trend. Potassium tests for exchangeable suffer from cyclic trend. Number one. Number two, this is dry. The dry increases, it increases as I show you the data. So every drying, they increase it, but at the same time, this is zero plot for 16 year, no apply, but plant is bringing a lot of non-exchangeable and put it on the surface. And you can see that it is fertilized naturally. It started here and now it show you here. With 4 years is an increase in dry and in wet. This is wet and this is dry. The test level increases. Self-fertilization is going on. As I told you, that residues recycle, the plant do it to roots, and all they are increasing. So in 90, when I left, this was the zero plot. It's a deception, but it's good for the nature designed that way, the system. So that means K test doesn't show the K removal. If you say, for example, I want to say that what is the test level, this is the Maro plot data. They were established in 86. And this is a check plot, and in 50s they were split. Check plot is not receiving any fertilizer. This is the 50 year data for the Plodia, from 6 inches. This is this much K removed to the crops. We have the yield data, so we figure out. And it should be minus 97, but the initial was 215, and the final was after removing for 50 years, now we have 362 in Maro plot. We are not putting any fertilizer, but this is plus, the change is plus 147. The Maro plot it is set in 86, it is the longest corn and soybean rotation. And now here we are putting according to the crop removal. Crop remove this much, and we added this is fertilizer, KCl application is going on here, side by side. And here the net change is plus 318. And if you recall, we split that plot. Initial was 215, but here we are adding fertilizer, we are not adding fertilizer. Now the current, the 205, it was 315 exchangeable, and 100 plus is the gain. So you cannot see the balance. So where the stuff is coming from, the non-exchangeable, from the deeper, from the roots, from the residue, and they are fertilizing itself. So I'm telling you the potassium test and how you cannot tell whether I'm adding or I'm removing. This is then a long-term trial, not just Maro plot, but around the world. I collected data. And these data are all published, but the other PhD thesis, MS thesis are its published data. This is not generally extension data or something. This is truly covered. So if you look China, this study experiment was 990 to 205, not much, but there is also. And K removed through 641, and initial was this much, and final was 47. So it decreased, but removal is 641, and the test show this much. So minus 207, where did that come from? The test is not decreasing exactly which we removed from, because cycle, recycle. Either plant or coming out from the clay itself, non-exchangeable, and from the mineral clay. So it's not depleting completely zero, it still stay 47. Since we are mining, so you can see, I don't know what kind of soil it is, but it's still pretty good, 47, after removing this much. The next is Denmark. We remove 47, and the initial test was 58, and still it's pretty close to 47. Just this show 12 pounds per acre. Where is the K coming from? Is again the same phenomena is going on. Soil, the crop roots and residue addition. This is Germany. Germany is just like Mali soils, our soils. We remove 4,046 through the crop. And the initial was 141. And the K test is 110. Just only minus 31. And we remove this much. The same is other plant, New Zealand and Poland. So and there was no fertilizer. The check plant. These are check plant. So I can show you how many throughout the world, the amount of potassium present in the soil and the recycling. So what do you think if you take one bag or two bag from Saskatchewan and put it there, you will get a response? So I will show you the data from throughout the grain, 2,100 trials conducted for soybean, for grain crops. I will show you their data later on in the stuff. Okay, this is the first experiment, which is very critical we organize with my advisor. If you see on this one, the corn yield. I also have another slide, but now I'm not showing it soybean. So mostly it's between 170 up and down is the yield. And this is the test level, the potassium. They're going up and down between 180 in 80 to 800. The test level is up and down because they are coming from the non-exchangeable, from residue, and they were assigned the plot. There was 240. This is 40 acre on the drummer, and we take 110, and we take one sample. That one sample represents 5 core composite. And we take the exchangeable K and then the yield on the same point. So these are different points and different yield. But if you look 160 and 160, 74 and 73, they are not different between the yield. But the K level increases so much, increase and decrease, that the yield is not affected. And they say that critical level is 300 pounds per acre. Show me if the critical level is really, these yield would be right here, 120 and 110, because they are below the critical level. These all the test level. So I did some regression on it, and the regression is 0.015. So low. So that means the test level has nothing to do with the soil, with the crops. And these are 240. These are 240 points. No relation. If I take it this for and no KCL is applied in 6 years. This is a check valve. If somebody come here and a doctor and in the staircase of the front of door on the hospital, heart surgeon, and he say that I have 240 heart operation, and everybody died except one or two people are saved. You will go to take that doctor for any treatment? I say no. So this is what we are nowadays. This is still in practice. So I cannot go more than these are actually through 240 trials in one graph.
Don't just feed your crops. Fuel their full potential with Amino from BW Fusion. Amino is your all-in-one foliar nitrogen solution that boosts nutrient efficiency and helps your crops convert nitrogen faster, saving energy when it matters most. With proven results like an 8 bushel per acre increase in corn and over 5 in soybeans, Amino helps your crops finish strong. Add to any tank mix. Deliver more yield. Amino, nitrogen made smarter. Learn more at bw-fusion.com/stressless.
Now, this is I use the fertility of K testing. There are in Europe big like Amaru plant trial in Poland, England, and Germany, and these are different alphazole, malazole, and studies has done very intensive study they did in Europe in 1999, and what they conclude from this. They conclude the K availability in this did not effectively predict K uptake by crops, which is true. I show you through a cycle, the equilibrium, how its K is coming from. And then this study bring into question the usefulness of the method that attempt to determine K. Blake et al. This is published in a very prestigious journal. So they question K testing. And that also tell you the next time would be questioning the fertilizer application. Now this is India. Now let me explain a little bit background of this stuff. In India, they take 4 crops. Kharif, Rabi, that means autumn, winter, summer, and in between spring. That 4 crops in rotation. And they take every residue from their stuff because the country is poor, the farmer is poor. They're holding 10 acres or 15 acres. They cover different type of soils. And they burn it because they have energy, fuel deficiency too. So they take grain as well as the roots, not the residue, but the roots too. And this society is running for the last 5, 6, 7,000 years. They are cropping. So they conducted 8,800 trials conducted from 72 to 74 with rice, wheat, and different soil type. So they are not like North America remove grain, but they also remove the residue for other uses. And what they found, K responses were rare. K responses were rare and did not exceed 30 pounds per acre, and yield was depressed in several trials. Its emphasis on depressed. Too much K is not good for yield. It's not for your purse. It's not for your soil. And they concluded soil test alone is not sufficient to predict the response or the dose of potassium fertilizer to be applied. Goswami, 76. So what can I produce? This is such an excellent demonstration to the farmer that, hey, hold on. Your soil are 2 to 1, and you came here to North America just 200 years. This is not, you are here 1,000 years. The cropping, intensive cropping started in 200 and the last 100 years. The varieties improve and population plant improve. And so why you guys are worried that, I will deplete my soil and put And by doing this, too much fertilizer, you deteriorate your soil too, because you take out CAC, you take out water holding capacity. Your soil would be more stressed to soil moisture, because these are all rain-fed area. So you will get always, after 2-3 years, a very bad results from lack of rainfall. Okay, what you are doing it, how K is soil you are removed from the soil when you grow 200 bushel per acre. Corn remove 0.2 pound K per bushel, and 200 bushel remove 46 pounds of K. A typical Illinois soil contains 30,000 pounds per acre potassium in the floor layer, which is available. And for 360, that is in the profile. They are also coming and recycled. Enough K in the floor layer for 650 years if nothing is recycled. And minerals are not changing into available clay, or the sands are not changing into other stuff which carry potassium, silt, and the weathering out of stuff. So 650 years for floor layer and enough for 200 bushel, and 8,000 years for the K supply in the profile. You will go back to the time of Abraham and Moses. Yeah, biblical, in biblical terms. And you are loaded with potassium and they are afraid. So I don't get it. It's a ritual. Potassium fertilization is a ritual. They cannot recover the amount of testing. They cannot recover the amount of potassium they are applying, and they are not building up. It's already built up. It's like somebody telling me that put sodium salt in the ocean. This is already ocean. This is Maro plant. We once in a while, Richard and me go there and check for the deficiency symptom and when the crop is going. This is check plot. Up till now, we removed 4,200 pounds per acre of potassium from this plot. This is close to our building. The only deficiency you see for nitrogen. You see the firing and the yellow. This is nitrogen. I don't see anything about the potassium related. And this is also due to the non-availability of water. So N deficiency is obvious, but there is no sign of K deficiency. Clear. This is right there. This is Maro plot, one of the old continuous plot for corn in the North America. Okay, that was known for a long time by the Hopkins. He was the dean. He was the dean?
No, he was department head.
Oh, department head. Hopkins, and he's already say at that time, potassium can be liberated as needed from the inexhaustible supply naturally contained in the normal soil of Illinois. And this was way lying in the library in the big state that it was not. People should not see it, but somehow Richard Balvenie got it and gave it to me. So this is very already known, the experiment station. Okay, how then do you say that this stuff the soil testing come to Illinois? It started from Illinois and spread throughout the world. This is done by Bray P1 and potassium. What he did, we have in Illinois 40 experiment stations throughout the Illinois, North, Central, South, and that experiment with K, the yield and the potassium exchangeable. And they did relation to establish that if potassium is more, then the yield would be increased. Can see graphically. And he said that there is no close correlation, nothing. They didn't find anything. And before that, they also take away the results of different plots. But even then, after cleaning it, massaging it, it didn't show it. And he was honest enough to tell that the surface increasing, that the exchangeable potassium content of the surface soil, there is no correlation. The Dart's law, journal, but no close relationship with exchangeable yield. But yes, and to my surprise, that the Bray test 1944, which is published, they change into this. Pound per pound, due to the help of statistics, they say that yes, it's give response, yield response, and also critical level. So I don't know from where this comes, but looks like somebody was smoking and drinking coffee and did it on the table of some professor or assistant professor. So they are setting this in agronomy handbook. They are setting for every crop and for care fertilization, and they increase the utility of it. We are selling this to the farmers and the fertilizer dealer. This recommendation. This is agronomy 24 edition, but it means nothing. This is recommendation in cell-based. This came out in 1975. Okay, what they do, the philosophy of soil testing is that you establish critical level, whether I'm above or below. Then you put that fertilizer and figure out that, okay, that correlates with the crop yield, I'm increasing. They establish critical level. But you cannot establish critical level because this is very dynamic. Just water soluble, and then it go and compensate for exchangeable. So they are quick changes. I show you several slides and also show you the yield sampling. You cannot establish. So what they did, no care required for care response. They forget about, say, don't worry about that the fertilizer is free, in other words. And they base their first build-up and this maintenance concept is based on this. Not soil testing, but they do soil testing extra to keep people in business. They first build up at 300 level. And by doing this, they destroy their soil. And then also, what you remove, the yield, you put back. So they build up and maintenance concept, which is completely bogus. And they say every soil needs 4 pounds of K to 1 pound of increase in the K test. If you are clay or sand or silt or fixing soil, every soil needs one number. 4 pounds increase 1 K test. And also for phosphorus, they apply 9 pounds to increase 1 K test level, which I'm not showing here. They don't care for CC, they don't care for mineralogy, they just remove the maintenance removal without regard to case size applying power or case applying power or K test. No, nothing. This is the recommendation. And when I published this paper, so they tell me, the Soil Science Society of America, that this is not a place you can publish with no stuff. They said that means, the other word, they were against the same. They were not about science. And they applied the same recommendation from the Illinois soil. And up to 2010, I have the removal of the crop and the K input. See here, in 1950, is way jump. And they are putting more 66 for 40 years. They 66 tons per year they increase above the yield level. The yield has no relationship with the K, but the sale is still going on. In 70, 80, 90, it was on the peak. And now they get a little bit, from different people that don't no response. So they get it it's removed somewhat. But the damage is done, which I explain you to my slides, to the soil. And then this is the current cost of this is 110 million per year to the farmers, up to that point. But the real cost is billion here, because take to account, because we don't need it. soil is enough. And the test is also faulty. So I don't know where everything is faulty. The bad news continues, okay, the bad news does not come. K fertilization seldom pay. We surveyed 2,100 response trial with KCL in the whole North America. They are published data. Nothing is extension data or somebody just write down something. No, this is peer-reviewed journal. And out of 2,100 response trial with KCL, 796 were case grain production in North America. Corn, soybean, wheat, whatever, grains cover. They were well done properly. So what we found, that's important. 4% show significant yield increase. 96 did not. But that increase occurred on sandy soil, which makes sense. Shallow soils and compacted soil. This 4% increase. The remaining normal soil under production don't show any response, which was 96%. So if farmers are on the sandy soil, or very shallow soil like swagger or compacted, same, different soil in state or in North America, or close to the coastal area like Florida. So I will little bit KCL would be help for grain production. Otherwise, forget it. You will throw money for nothing. It's gambling. If any farmer show me the response on normal soil, I will pay. Yeah, nobody will show it. Okay, this is the yield decrease due to the KCL. Plus, the potassium is as dangerous as chloride. We because it's cheap, so we get it from Canada. And soybean yield under no-till and strip-till in 207.79. So every either didn't increase, they put fertilizer 106, but they also reduce on some tillage. Seed yield. They were done actually, and this is not just soybean. This is corn, potato, cotton, alfalfa, and under different tillage, yield would be decreased. Farmers don't know it because they just tell the guy, he come and he split fertilizer. He's not even present. So how he can figure out if he had no check plot that what he's getting? This crop clearly shows the decrease in the yield. This experiment is very nice. I just want to show you the potassium effect and the calcium effect on the microbes in a petri dishes. But I'm measuring the soybean rhizobium strain. So my prepare strain, not I prepare, but the researcher, and they are putting 70 potassium and 0 calcium, then 20 calcium, and they decrease potassium. The ratio is decreasing. Here is 70 calcium and 0 K. And this is a strain rhizobium in a petri dish. And they want to count under the binocular, the number. So if you see when potassium is at the peak and no line, so it's 0. It's the lowest one. But as they increase the calcium and decrease the potassium, so it's recovered. So if you put line in the soybean, you will tremendously, and any crop, this would tremendously population of the rhizobium will increase, particularly for fixing nitrogen. Soybean and reduce potassium, unless you are sandy or compacted or other type of soils. But this is so excellent that tell me that if I'm going for soybean, I should apply 2 tons or 3 tons or 1.5. This is cheap. And I should, before going soybean, I should put the line. nice lime, it's a good quarry, and you put it there. And you will be not leguminous, but non-leguminous also get a lot of. And I will show you a simple experiment with my father-in-law in the inn, just for science. This is another potassium and calcium. Availability reduces rhizobium population, which I already show you on this, and now this is actually field. It's also suppressed nitrate uptake. Nitrate and chloride compete with one another, the plant. So who win? Chloride win. Nitrate leach. Because there are simple storage in the crops. So you are wrong fertilizer and the wrong, you put it there, too much for buildup. So it's nitrate and magnesium particularly, I will point to every farmer and everybody who eat now grain, soybean, corn, all this stuff. And also the animals who are feeding these crops. Potassium completely take out magnesium. You have titinus nowadays. And everybody go to the drugs and take out, since these are available, they take magnesium tablets that I cannot sleep. How you will sleep? That you put depleted already, all the grains and the residues, what you eat. So our food is completely deficient in magnesium. And magnesium is involved in 300 metabolic pathways in human as well as animals. And everybody says, I'm taking magnesium tablets. Why? Because we screwed them up. So that's what I was showing you this, that everything is magnesium deficiency. And that they create tetanus. Then you have to feed them some tablets, magnesium, to eat it. And one person in Cornell, professor, he say if you produce a good solids food for the animal, don't apply manure and don't apply potassium. So that's the stuff. It increasing, they say quality increases, is quality decreasing. This is another slide I'm showing you from different soil type and different varieties of the wheat varieties here. When increase the doses of the chloride in the leaf percentages, because chloride go with the potassium, and its yield is depressed in all varieties, because chloride interfere in nitrification, bugs, and also interferes, compete with nitrate uptake, and they also introduce in the metabolic pathway of carbohydrate production. Rather, potassium in sugarcane, I will show you a side, they destroy the chlorophylls. So when you destroy the chlorophylls, you are shut down the photosynthesis. This is sugarcane. Chloride suppress nitrate uptake, chloride interfere with carb production, and chloride inhibit nitrification. In sugarcane, it destroys the chlorophylls content. That's what I was showing in Guatemala. So if you are still under the influence of fertilizer dealer, prepare for lower crop quality, high cadmium in malting barley. They also increase the heavy metal, which clog your kidneys if you took potatoes. Cadmium. You cannot excrete in pee when you are peeing in barley. And when you make from this beer, God help you, I would say. And then there's also calcium, magnesium deficiency in forage and potato, and they make the citrus juice acidic. They are not sweet. And this is a very interesting, that why you will be thinking that why I'm showing this. When I was young chap and I finished my BSc, I got a job in Pakistan, northern part. And I will give fertilizer, bags, and seeds and everything to educate the farmers to increase their yield. And they were free. So I was distributing all these bags. But after someday I was coming and a farmer was mixing the same fertilizer in the mud. They were mixing it. And I said, why you are doing it? He laughed. He said, this stuff, stability to my wall. When the weather changes and the lot of rainfall occur, I again go back and repair my wall. So when I mix potassium chloride with it, a bag with the stuff, there is a little bit money, but I don't go every year to take care of the mud wall. That is his house. So the mud wall, what happened? Potassium chloride, its McTide change the clay. It's not expanding, it's compact. Like hockey puck. And then I don't want to do every year maintenance. And we lose cation exchange capacity and lower water holding capacity. So it stay really stable. And this was used by England. When Second World War, they will mix it with the clay and make aerodrome for the plane because they couldn't afford it. Cement was not, and they were immediately doing it when Germany started Second World War. They were doing this salt, potassium chloride, for mud making and also for the aerodrome. It has its own good things, but not for agronomy. So now you will say that you discourage the fertilizer and you also discourage the management, what we should do for our satisfaction. So I say, forget about K testing. This is useless. If you see flake, just take it out. No flake. This is extra money. You don't worry K fertilization for grain production. I show you a data. 800 trials I show you. On this soil is sandy or compacted. Conduct your own strip trials. Some strips and put a little bit fertilizer K. Can you get in different area of the field? And as a farmers know which is good and which is bad area of the field. And they fertilize and unfertilize strips. And that should be, if K is needed, it should be guarantee, not more than 40 or 50, 30 and 40 pounds per acre. Confirm it from the use of, and I would say use instead of K2SO4 instead of KCl. 30 to 40 strips, rown, 10 feet or 9 feet, little, just farmer, 1 hour you can establish the trial. And check it out. If it is different, you get anything good thing, then so be. But all cases, you will be losing money and not recover that stuff. And that only about forage crops or maybe your compacted or sandy soil. Okay, this is the last one I'm showing you. This is a story. My wife is Caucasian. Since I go to my farmers, my farmers and area, and also I interact with my father-in-law, he's a farmer. His father was also a farmer. This side is university recommendation. If you go on corn and soybean, you residue, that all residue are lying here. And the corn. And he wanting strictly the NPK regime of the University of Illinois or other universities. I say, keep this to me. If you lose crops or yield, I will pay for my pocket. But I was not prepared first because you don't mess around with your in-laws when you were living in a dark house. So I didn't pay, but I give him incentive. I say, left alone this one. You grow good varieties which is not affected by the disease and grow 2 or 3 years the soybean, not alternate. This is my recommendation. So this is on third, and the next year it would be 4, and then he will change it. to break the cycle for 1 year and then come again to the continuous corn. Not continuous corn, but soybean. And this soil is swagger. It's not deep, but very clay soil. Its production is, it's a very low soil. Soybean in the University of Illinois indexes for yield, it is 100 bushel per acre. And a soybean is 30 or 29, not much. But I changed this for 4 years soybean and 1 year corn. And this is the same 29, 28 is coming in the same. The yield is also very low. So I did this experiment and his jump yield. Soybean is with this because instead of potassium chloride, no potassium. I apply to this soil 2 or 3 tons good Cory per Pontiac. They apply calcium carbonate and mix it in the 6 and 12 inches chisel. 3 years, 4 years, it's increased production. I open up. It's very like a butter on the subsoil. Its compaction is gone with the lime, and instead of potassium, and I'm not introduced a lot of residues. It cannot handle the nitrogen then, because carbon is competing with the crops. No more corn. 3 years, no corn. All soybean, which residues are rich. They give nitrogen self for nitrogen, no potassium, and 3 tons, 20 per acre, per ton. And when you spread it, 60 pounds will come. It's jumped into 60 and 70 soybean. So whenever he was not calling me, that he came out, however he will know. But now he trusts me and everything is changed. Car is new, house is new. So, but he never talked to me because he afraid that I will get money from. So with this one, I will end up my presentation. This is this is on the 4th year. He's a tall guy, 6 something, Dutchy. But look to the crops. This is swagger, very compacted soil. I open it up. So the take surface that, hey, do you approach this try on a piece of land? It one will suit there is not one tablet, which is a magic. And one size fit all. No, it's not working. Just like 1.2, change the rotation, change the crops. And corn is very powerful crops. It puts so much trash, it needs nitrogen to burn it. So it's so much tall. You cannot say that this is drummer or Flanagan or muscatine. It doesn't look like the compacted soil, like swagger. So with this, I will end my presentation, and I am ready to answer questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I got to be honest, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Again, I got another page of notes here. Here's my question. Okay. I want to make sure that because we talk about this a lot, because, I do meetings and I'll ask farmers, how many of you have had success building potassium in your soils? Because that's what everybody used to try to do. Right.
I would put to my ears.
And they will raise their hand and say, we've not had success. Right. We can put K on, we can put K on, we can put K on. We're not changing our levels, right? And so I've always been under the impression, when I think about this from a chemistry perspective, that part of the reason why we don't build K in the soil from an exchangeable perspective is because K is a single positive ion. It's trying to displace calcium and magnesium, and it can't do it.
Correct. Yeah.
But what I just was listening and taking notes on was that while that may be true from a cation exchange capacity perspective, the potassium in the plant is actually blocking, or the potassium is blocking the uptake of calcium and magnesium, or blocking that uptake. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. Because the size of potassium is small.
Yep.
Calcium is big, and magnesium is too big, and sodium is big. So it preferentially go up. Then for potassium, there is a special mechanism that's called potassium pump.
Yep.
It expel and take out this potassium. And why? Because potassium is needed in the plant in a lot of mechanisms. For example, if potassium, and potassium also never become organic. Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
They never teach you, but it's never become organic. The moment potassium become organic, all the plant will become dead because it immediately go and close the stomata to stop operation from the plant.
Right.
That's why it's not become organic. There is no time for organic because organic will change into inorganic and it would be through microbes. And by that time, everything will be dead. So potassium always inorganic and it's always fast. And plant accumulate potassium before the testing starts.
That's really neat.
Everything in reserve. For grain, they talk with one another. Plant is very intelligent creature. So before the grain formation start, they already put stuff in their body. Residues as well as everything go from the plant, not from the soil in later stage.
So I'm down here. I didn't tell you this earlier. I'm in Lawrence County, so I'm in the southeast part of the state. And it's pretty sand. The east side of our county is very sandy and irrigated. A lot of irrigation pivots down here. One thing I see a lot in soil tests. So I guess I'll say this from a different perspective. I mentioned we do a lot with the Haney extraction, trying to look at availability of nutrients. So we have some metrics like H3A potassium, and we've got a kind of an ideal place where we want to see that. One of the things I see a lot is we have low mag soils. Our CEC mag, our mag, our base saturation mag is single digits a lot here, which I know a lot of folks in Illinois would love to have.
Oh, okay.
I actually do see a little bit of magnesium deficiency around, but the other thing is we focus a lot on calcium from a plant food perspective, which is somewhat different than a soil structure perspective, but they both matter. They both matter significantly, and just like your last couple of slides here, I think speaks to that a lot.
Yeah,
but we look at calcium also from a plant food perspective, and we see that number we could have an 80% base saturation calcium soil that's got a perfect 6.5 pH, and we could see our available calcium kind of be in the toilet, so to speak. So we don't get good calcium uptake from that perspective. So
it's suppressed by
the potassium that's blocking that too.
Yeah. Potassium will suppress calcium, magnesium, definitely. Several studies show, every study, they are showing that calcium, magnesium suppressed by potassium. And if calcium suppressed, and you take that for the human being, the bones are breaking. Plus, if you don't give it a milk flavor in animal, because they cannibalize their own body, animal, cow, and get into the offspring that they should not suffer. So that's called milk fever. So they give calcium tablets and magnesium tablets too. Both are important. And that naturally potassium is antagonistic. It's compete with calcium, magnesium, and they suppress it. They go really fast. And the reason I explained that they involved in several metabolism. Calcium become a part of organic, so is magnesium, but not potassium.
That makes, I agree. This has been really, it's been really neat. Like I said, I think your guys' Potassium Paradox work was, I think it's kind of sacred text in the ergonomy space. I do. I think I think it's a big piece. I agree with, the numbers you talk about. We see consistently when we do these total digestions that in a plow layer, like for me locally, I'm in the mid 20,000 pounds consistently, just like what you said. And I've tried to look at soils from a stratification perspective, trying to pull like every 2 inches down. And I think that is the most overlooked thing when it comes to soil testing for any nutrient, for that matter. Is we measure the plow layer, but our roots are going down there, and there's fertility all the way through that profile.
Correct. Yeah.
Some things, maybe phosphorus, which is a different animal altogether. Maybe some of that is predicated on soil microbes, and maybe there's less oxygen there, so there's less.
Phosphorus is mineralizable, and it needs microbes, but not potassium.
But not potassium. So, I tell you what, you're going to make a lot of our customers' lives better, because as they're looking at commodity prices for this year going into next year, if they can buy into this message, they're going to save a lot of dollars going into next year.
When we released this paper, the PPI was putting one assistant deputy director in every university. They shifted to North Africa. I said that Marrakesh is a proper place for you. There you need potassium.
Yep.
No more. In Iowa, Missouri, in Illinois, different university, Indiana, they have centers PPI. They completely dismantled by this one paper. This was a very forceful, and it was the when we publish it, it was on the editorial board, and they say, give me something, we will start discussion. Nobody from the one person coming from New Zealand, from the I think it was from the Europe. He criticized, but in a different way. But not all these universities. They just went under the rock.
Yeah.
Like we are not here.
Yeah, I remember when the paper came out. I was actually in the process of leaving retail and going into the seed industry for a while when your paper came out, and it was to me it was sort of a catalyst. If I'm being completely honest, it was a catalyst reading for me when I mentioned earlier that a lot of my career progression has been that I want to continue to learn. Just like you mentioned in here, the sales approach. You're taught that 4 pounds of K2O to raise the soil test by 1 pound. You're taught you need 9 pounds of phosphorus to raise the soil test by 1. That Potassium Paradox paper, opened my eyes, and it began for me a what's been, the last several years, the last decade or more of looking at things from a different perspective.
And I learned from my field work when I was young boy in Pakistan. These two things. One, I was giving free ammonium sulfate and urea. Mm-hmm. And he was flowing, and his yield increased and everything increased. But they were small farmers, 15 acre, 10 acres. Food increases. But one day he came to me, and he not alone, but several, that our soil become malleable, not anymore soft. It's become hard. It's get harder.
Yep.
And my animals are not tilled soil. So I was thinking, I didn't know BSC is in a third world country. I didn't know. And also, the guy I saw was making his mud wall. I take that when I came here, I take mineralogy classes in University of Illinois. That what's going on? He was right on that. He was right, and these guys were wrong. They say, put it. So I learned from farmers, both. When Richard and we start the nitrogen also destroyed too much nitrogen.
Yep.
Burn organic matter.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing is we're both of the nutrients that we've talked about today are great to a certain extent, and they're detrimental at too much of it.
Yep. So
And
one
frankly,
title give title to the myth. It's a myth of nitrogen fertilization or carbon sequestration. You cannot sequester carbon if you use artificial. This is a kerosene oil or burning.
we talk about that often about if you want to build carbon and calcium are the catalyst to our soil. If you want your soil to breathe, if you want your soil to flocculate, you've got to have carbon and you've got to have calcium. Two things that we've indirectly talked about.
Yeah, true.
You improve that calcium like you did with your father-in-law's farm.
Yeah, see?
That soil breathes better. If that soil breathes better, guess what? It gives that crop access to the K that you're talking about not applying because it's already there. Because your soil your roots can penetrate and find it because the soil is open.
Yeah. And then, he paid the amount of tax on the low productivity indexes. And he reaped the benefit of these few changes of drummer or Flanagan or Muscatoon, like he.
Yep.
His productivity increases.
Well, I've really enjoyed the opportunity to let you guys present today. If you ever want to come on and just chat, you've got my email. I may reach out to you guys via email from time to time if that's okay with you. I would be opposed to having a chat again in the future and just get your take on a few other things. So, anything else you guys have before I wrap this up and let you go on about your day?
That's it. Thank you for your listening our message.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share our message.
Well, I appreciate it. A lot of times I got to be honest, guys. I've made jokes. We always kind of, I think it feels like our industry where you start to look at when you're thinking outside the box, when you're looking at soils as from a biological perspective and trying to be more efficient with fertility, you tend to poke fun to some extent at some of the university data that's out there that's kind of against that line of thinking. I've poked fun at the University of Illinois several times for several different things, but I've really enjoyed the conversation from two guys from the University of Illinois who are doing things outside the box and have stood your ground and done a heck of a job continuing that science. So, gentlemen, I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.